we all got together. And among the things that we wanted to make sure that we would not allow to happen is for anyone to say that there was a leader. So we developed a leadership corps. It's called Leadership Collective. We came up on the name Students United, not to represent that corps, but to represent all students on campus. Because we knew that somebody would say, well, this is just a group of disgruntled students. And I've looked at some of the history on Southern on the website, and sure enough, when they get to 72, they said this fringe group of students, Students United. We had boycotts for a month of 80 to 90% of the student body. We didn't force anybody to do anything. We understood where we were. We understood the moment and the time because we believed that we were a part of the civil rights movement that was still going on. We also believed that we were the possibilities that the black liberation struggle had raised to us. We also understood something else. Southern University was the largest black university, not just in this country, but in the world. In the world. That was nearly 10,000 students between the Baton Rouge campus, New Orleans, and Shreveport. We understood the historical moment that we were in. We wanted not just a better Southern University, but just think about the crazy things that we thought Southern could do. We thought because Southern University had, I'm gonna get to it. We thought because Southern University had, and just 2 other points, Professor. We thought that because Southern University had an agriculture department, that it could provide milk and food for people in Scotlandville. We were stupid enough to believe that because Southern University had an architect department, that department could help design and build housing, affordable housing for people in Scotlandville. We really believed these things, and so we articulated them. Another big piece was governance. We wanted shared governance. We knew they would not let us make decisions about appropriation, but we could make decisions about what affected our lives here. And so we asked for councils at every level. We also asked for Southern University to have a board of trustees. And guess what? Southern University got a board of trustees. Nobody has given us credit for that. And guess what? Every university under the State Board of Education has a board of trustees. Nobody has given us credit for that, but that did not come about. But if you go back and look at the archives, E.C. Harrison, who was the academic VP, published a paper on the utility of these councils in the academy. We never got credit for that at all. One final observation I'll make at this junction. The faculty at Southern University had no voice. Absolutely no voice. We, the students, raised the concern for the faculty to have a voice. The reason why Southern University has a faculty senate today is because we, the students, pushed that out there. They fired 2 faculty for supporting us. So our idealistic, crazy demands were looked at as if we were some aliens from somewhere else. So we came here looking for these possibilities. We knew that Southern University had within it the capacity to help us and all black people. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a lot of powerful stuff to add to this. You are part of the political science department. And we all appreciate that, I know.
Thank you.
The next person I would like to hear from is Ms. Ola Prejean. And Ms. Prejean is the wife of the late Fred Prejean. And if he had the opportunity, I know for a fact that he would be here today. But Ms. Prejean is actually who introduced Mr. Prejean to this cause. So Ms. Prejean, give us some thoughts on behalf of you and your husband at this time.
Thank you so much. I would first like to begin by thanking Professor Bell and her entire team, for coordinating this event. It is quite a challenge to bring together stakeholders who carry personal stories, memories, and pain around such a critical part of our lives. Thank you for your commitment to creating this opportunity for us to share our truths. I am speaking on behalf of myself and my late husband, Fred. Fred and I both entered Southern in 1970. I enrolled immediately after graduating from high school, and he enrolled at the age of 24 after having been in the Marine Corps Reserve and having worked as a community organizer in the consumer cooperative movement, which had strong ties to the civil rights movement. We began dating the first week of being on campus. We married in 1974 and were married for 47 years at the time of his passing in January of this year. So I know that his spirit is covering me this evening. You've heard that the protest began in October 72 as students in the psychology department responded to the resignation of Dr. Charles Wydell, the department chair. I was a psychology major and Fred was majoring in accounting. I brought Fred to the psychology meeting. There was a groundswell of energy, momentum, knowledge, and will to say, we will not let this happen. And what started in the psychology department didn't stay in the psychology department. Rather quickly, as Ricky said, the scope of student concerns broadened to encompass almost every aspect of student life, and the coalition of student groups became Students United. Contrary to media reports at the time, and being falsely characterized as being militant and violent, Students United chose civil disobedience to deliver concerns and to help pave a way for a change at Southern. As Fred said during the 20th anniversary commemoration of this event, while the conflict at Southern pitted students against administration and black against black in the immediate sense, the significance of an all-white controlled Board of Education and inadequate financial support for Southern, which had long existed, cannot be overemphasized in any assessment of the causes of the student unrest at Southern in 1972. Those conditions reflected the reality of institutional racism, and Students United made this known. The administration and former Governor Edward Edwards could not fathom that intelligent, well-informed, disciplined, and resolute black students could exercise their civil disobedience, expose such disparities and inadequacies, and maintain a peaceful demonstration over multiple weeks. All evidence points to the conclusion that the untimely and extraordinary arrest of the leaders of Students United was the catalyst for the events that unfolded on the morning of November 16th. To end weeks of peaceful protest, those in power chose to silence students by any means necessary, and 2 students, Denver Smith and Leonard Brown, lost their lives. The fall of 1972 created a complex trauma that was experienced by all students, regardless of their proximity to the tragedy that happened that morning. Multiple events created varying degrees of stress and trauma. There were disruptions to expectations about the college experience, erosions of trust in the system we chose to nurture and prepare us for our future, taking risks to our lives and well-being to stand up for a cause, being falsely characterized as militant, radical troublemakers, coping with the presence of law enforcement on campus, being followed by police, being arrested, having the trajectory of life plans, goals, and family relationships altered and destroyed, being left in harm's way on November 16th by the administration, and witnessing and seeing the aftermath of 2 fellow students murdered was the ultimate trauma. The emotional, behavioral, and somatic consequences of traumatic events can be very challenging to cope with and be lifelong. The grief suffered by the families of Denver and Leonard at the brutal, unforgivable murder of their loved one is a trauma they will always have to live with. The fear, dehumanization, humiliation that students experienced when arrested will forever be etched in their memories. Recounting 1972 was very painful and traumatic for Fred. Some students, he talked about the account and always wanted to find out who was responsible for those deaths. Some students have coped by remaining silent and not verbalizing their experience, having to internalize that pain. Other students like myself have memory blocks around significant events. Some students are no longer comfortable doing the things they once very easily did. Depression, feelings of helplessness, feelings of guilt, feelings of distrust, sleep disturbance. Being hypersensitive and suspicious and unresolved feelings of anger have been experienced by all of us to some degree. A recent article about November 16 ended with, let it hurt, let it bleed, let it heal, and let it go. A lot of us let it hurt. A lot of us let it bleed. Healing at best is a work in progress. But let it go, I'm not sure how many of us, if any, have ever gotten or will ever get to that point.